Don't worry, I'm not ASMRing. Or maybe.
No.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good day, and welcome back to the Parc'd podcast by Parc'd. Today it is episode Nick de Vries, and that makes me so emotional because Formula E still hasn't started yet. We've still got 2 weeks.
No, that's not long.
That isn't long at all. It is episode 21 today, and we've got a little bit to talk about. Not Formula E, because I've got Formula E in the brain now. Formula 1 is into its final triple header of the year. So we had Las Vegas last week, which we're going to be talking about. We've got Qatar coming up this weekend, as you're watching, and then next weekend we have Abu Dhabi, and it is the season finale. So we're obviously starting with Las Vegas because the other two haven't happened, and MotoGP also had their season finale in Barcelona, which we've got to discuss as well. Yippee! Lots to talk about. I'm assuming we're starting off with the one and only Viva Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Sorry, I just opened up the notes page and just the message that Naomi sent, just saying Cadillac.
We should talk about it.
Do you want to talk about Cadillac first?
Sure.
As a Cadillac girly.
Yeah. So obviously, Formula One has reached an agreement. It's kind of like, what did they call it? It's like not a full agreement yet, but it's like a provisional agreement.
Yeah.
With General Motors Cadillac for them to enter Formula One in 2026. Mario Andretti will be director of the board, which is very interesting considering they didn't let Andretti in, but he's going to be part of the Cadillac team.
He really said, if you're not going to let me in, I will make my way into this sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, fair enough. Like, he did. In my personal opinion, he deserves to have a place in. He's such a huge name in motorsport. I don't see why not.
He's the Andretti name in motorsport is huge. I don't see why F1 doesn't want to benefit off that.
Yeah, it's like if they didn't let Penske in. If they want 3 Grand Prix per year, you're gonna have, let Andretti in. So very interesting. We've had a few conversations before this started recording about who we think could be in the team. Me and Alex wish it could be Jenson Button and Alex Lynn. No, the real Cadillac.
No, it's going to be Jenson Button and Alex Lynn. And before anyone's like, why would them two be? They are Cadillac boys together in 2025. So
manifesting.
And even Jensen's
you've
head
got your
this
pillow.
weekend.
I've got my jumper on. We're manifesting Jensen in Cadillac.
Even Jensen said this weekend they were talking about it, and Jensen goes, Cadillac driver next year, and Crofty goes, oh, so you're going to be back in F1 now. So yeah, and then I think it's going to be Fernando Alonso in one of the seats because he's got a very close relationship with Andretti. He's been in IndyCar. He's done all the American stuff. I think he's only going to do it for a year and then retire or something.
Retire? What a silly word to put next to.
He's
Fernando
a rookie. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think it will be one of the American drivers, like Colton Herta or something like that.
I think it'll be someone that's got experience, that is well known within the family kind of vibe. So like a Colton Herta, for example. And then I think it'll be a youngster, which I would like to put some money on it being Fred Vesti.
Ooh.
Because
I don't know.
He became a part of the Cadillac family this year.
True.
So it's not as if he's just this rogue choice. Mercedes, we've seen Mercedes before. They are willing, if their driver wants to go into Formula One with another team, they are willing and they help. So I'm thinking could make a deal.
It's not going to be now. It's not going to be now. This is going to be in almost 2 years' time. It's going to be 1 year, but 2 years for the dramatic effect. We'll go 2 years. And he's not just going to be this driver who's like fresh out of Formula 2 anymore.
Ooh, who could it be that could be like fresh out of like Formula 2 at that point?
Let me have a look at I mean, I know it's going to change like during.
Arvid
Imagine it's like-
Lindblad?
No, imagine it's like a Christian Mansell or something.
Oh my god.
That would be really slay.
That would be really slight.
I'm gonna go really rogue. Taylor Barnard.
That man is a paid
Because-
driver now, and his
Man just got into our feet. Okay, but he's with McLaren. Zach Brown's American. And American. Cadillac's American. McLaren, the IndyCar.
In this instance, we could say Ollie Behrman's going there because Ollie Behrman races for Haas. Maybe it's Thomas Behrman's chance to come up to Formula 1.
I said it was gonna be rogue.
What about like a Paul
A what?
Aaron?
Oh,
Like, if he
I
wins
would be
championship
here
next year.
for that. Paul Aaron's not going to F2 next year. I'm really sorry to tell you this.
That's heartbreaking. Anyway, yeah.
Franco?
Look, Franco, in my eyes, is still in F1 next
I
year,
know.
okay? I am
About
not
Luke
having
Browning.
it any other way. Luke Browning. Option.
Luke Browning. See, there's no like American drivers coming up at the moment.
Logan Sargent. There you go.
Comes back.
No. unless no, that wouldn't.
There's something about Logan Sargent. I'm like, oh bless him.
Yeah, Katie
I've
has
never-
become a fan of Logan Sargent since he kind of like left F1. Like I've had like 4 separate phone calls with
Hold
her, I
on.
think now at this point about Logan Sargent.
I've never in my life taken that man seriously.
No,
Not even in
No,
Formula
I don't.
3.
No,
when that
I
man
don't
ran
take
off
him serious.
in
I
Formula 3.
I just have a thing for drivers that get dropped halfway through a season.
I
But this one was deserved.
I didn't mind Logan Sargent until there were so many people saying that he worked so hard and deserved his F1 seat and he did it the proper way compared to like Kimi Antonelli or whatever when this whole debacle was going on. And then he instantly went down in my books because I was like, that man had to do so many FP1 sessions to get enough super
Literally.
license points. Kimi Antonelli had enough super license points just by doing Formula 4.
Yeah.
He just wasn't old enough. So
Can we throw back to Formula 3 when he literally ran off in the lot? So bear in mind, set the scene. It's Monza. I'm pretty sure it was. And it's Oscar Piastri, Fred Vesti, and Logan Sargent fighting for the championship. Like, that is a selection of drivers. And Logan Sargent is literally like, he's winning it. Like, he is literally winning it. Runs off into the gravel, lets Oscar Piastri through, and Oscar wins the championship. So, peak for him.
like
honest.
he was good in his Speeder Series career, but he did have to do a lot to get to F1
Yeah.
apart from just like place well in the championship. So I don't think he can be really compared to Kimi Antonelli in that sort, and he just immediately went down in my I have this really bad issue where if a driver's fans are too aggressive towards other drivers and like to take other drivers down, then their driver immediately goes down in my like mind and standings. Because I don't know whether this is just because I'm a George Russell fan and the amount of times recently George Russell fans have been getting praised because 1, we don't talk bad about other drivers, 2, we just look at our driver and go, oh, you're doing so well. And like 3, we just stay and mind our own businesses. Like we stay out of everything because all we care about is that walking little meme that's just minding his business.
I think the best Formula 1 fans, the best motorsport fans in general, not just Formula 1, are the ones that keep themselves to themselves, are happy when, whether it's their driver wins, whether their driver does well, even if it's another driver. Like, the reason, like, I really enjoy watching Formula 1 is seeing other people do well as well. Like, Pierre winning in Monza. That was one of my first introductions to Formula 1, and that was like, yes, please. because just enjoy it. Don't why do you have to shut everything down?
Yeah.
Like seriously. If
Yeah.
you want to shut everything down, just shut up.
Exactly.
You know
I
the
think
saying,
it's
if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
It's when people say, "Oh, Pierre wouldn't have got his win if like everyone didn't crash out ahead of him." Okay, but that's motorsport, babes.
That's sports.
If they'd
It's
managed to
all
keep it
about
on track,
being-
they would have won.
It's all about being in the right place at the right time. A lot of the time,
Exactly.
motorsport. If you are
Just like
running your own race, you're staying clean, you're overtaking when overtaking is needed, and you're not getting caught up in silly shenanigans, then you know
it's like with
sometimes
football.
the win lands in your hands, and it's great and it's fantastic.
It's like in football, people being like, "Oh, they wouldn't have had that win if this and this wasn't injured." Yeah, but that's how it that's how it works.
That's how it is.
They shouldn't have got injured then, should they?
Exactly. Silly
Maybe
people.
you shouldn't have done that, and then you wouldn't be here. But yeah, I think it's just the case that I don't have an opinion on Logan Sargent. If he came back to F1, I would be like, good for you. You know? But that man was miserable in Formula One.
Yeah.
And
if he does,
Well, it's what he
he will be
said.
much happier.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
what he said about that one test that he did with Maya Shank. And he said that everyone was trying to help him. It felt like a family. He felt supported. And I was like, everyone on TikTok and Twitter are like, oh, you can tell this man's not in the PR anymore. Like, not under Williams PR.
Viva Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Waited 2 weeks for another Formula One round. Which I know a lot of people were very pissed off by this, but I think good thing for giving them a 2-week break. Go home to their parents. They're doing, and their children and their families and whatever. They did a triple header and they're finishing off with a triple header. Let them go home. Yeah, I only watched the race, and even then, I was so exhausted watching the race that I could not tell you half of what happened.
Yeah, I fell in and out of sleep. I woke up, watched like the first 10 laps, and then woke up again at like 20 laps.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up to watch the race, and I am so glad I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah,
Did you hear Yuki
If I got to
Tsunoda
6:30
blew
in the
up
morning-
Pierre Gasly's car?
Oh, fuck off, no.
Yuki Tsunoda blew up Pierre Gasly's car, right? Because, right, so I've got to remember this from bits and pieces that I've read, right? So obviously Pierre qualified P3, right? And
King shit.
he was quicker than I think Alpine were expecting and the car was expecting. So while he was sitting in Yuki Tsunoda's tow and getting a tow, he was going even quicker than the Alpine was already prepared to. So the Alpine was prepared to go this quickly. Pierre Gasly was already going this quickly, right? And with the tow, he's now going this quickly to the point the car just blew up.
Couldn't handle it.
It literally physically couldn't handle
Oh my
going
God.
that fast and
That's crazy.
combusted, and he was out of the race.
That's insane.
Like, who would have
honestly.
thought at the end of the 2024 season we're saying Pierre Gasly, first of all, no longer the only driver to not cost the team any money. So clearly people need to stop talking about it because it just jinxed him. But second of all, that Pierre Gasly's car blew up because the Alpine was too fast. This is the team that couldn't get any points, and now the car is blowing up from being too fast. I don't
Crazy.
The Alpine's like, slow down. Slow down.
We need you
cannot
to
handle
slow
this.
down.
All I did was I'd muted everything so I didn't get any spoilers, right? I wake up and tell me why, as I'm going onto Sky to watch it, I click on the race recap, to watch it. It was like 9:30 in the morning, and I was like, sick, I can watch it from the start. No, they have to do the fucking thing at the start where they're like, so it's Ted walking around the paddock after the race going, so Max Verstappen won the championship. I'm like, cool, great. And they're like, George Russell won. Okay, great. Pierre Gasly, his car blew up, and I'm like, I haven't even watched the race yet. What do you mean his car blew up?
Oh, Christ.
Oh, I was like, I actually could. I was so glad, because if I'd have woken up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to watch it, got to 6:30 in the morning, and Pierre Gasly was out of the race because
It
his
was
car
so
blew
peak
up.
as well. The radio was the funniest thing ever.
No, that's my
Because he
thing.
came on the radio like,
the radio.
I've got no power. Alpine, they're like, it's fine from our side. You seem fine. And he's like, no, I have no power.
It's not
And then
fine.
like cut the frame, and you can literally see the smoke coming out of his car. I was like,
Yeah, I included that
one's a
photo in
good-
the article. There's a photo in the article of his car with smoke out the back.
It's just
Oh,
so.
no.
Do it twice. Oh,
It's just
iconic.
yeah, it's wild. But George Russell won, so great day to be me and Naomi. Even better day to be Alice. Mercedes won too. Are you kidding me?
Who would have thought that?
The
Mercedes
one thing
won too.
that's really annoying me, right, is that everyone keeps reposting this quote regarding the Las Vegas weekend. That was, you can put Lewis Hamilton in P20, and no matter where George is on the grid, Lewis will always finish next to him. Meaning, like, you know, it's a way to swipe at George, which, if you've got beef with George, not my monkeys, not my circus, you know. But George started in P1 and ended in P1. Where do you want him to go? the man physically can't go anywhere else. Like, Lewis starting in 10th and finishing in 2nd, phenomenal drive, like exactly what we needed, and he did fantastic. And never in a million years would I ever discredit that, because he is a phenomenal driver, always has been, always will be. That's the reason why he is the greatest of all time. But if you feel the constant need to compare him to his teammate that spent the past, like, first 3 years of his career battling in a car that was basically going backwards the whole time, then I am very concerned. Yeah. Anger, stress. George win.
All of the above. I just loved the radio message of after the race of like, Toto, we are staying in Vegas and we are partying in
Yeah,
Vegas.
honestly.
And it's like, no, we still need to go to Los Angeles. He's like, no, we're staying
not
in Vegas.
getting on that
Toto
plane,
goes,
yeah.
we're staying in Vegas.
We have to party.
Yeah.
Understandably. Like,
I just love that.
Mercedes were just like on fire though the entire weekend. Like, they dominated every session. Every session was
The
top
thing is, they
crazy.
didn't even know why.
it's because it was cold. That car
like,
loves the
why?
cold. So
But why?
if it can snow in like Qatar and Abu Dhabi for the next 2 weekends, I'll be
No.
all here for it.
I just find it so interesting. Like, I genuinely wonder why it performs. Like, the thing is, they don't know.
Mm.
And I think it probably is because of some sort of heating thing. Like, you know, like
yeah, it's
maybe
the only thing I can
overheating
think of.
or-
Yeah, a cooling issue, which
So-
is now like resolved by the temperature actually
probably-
cooling the car.
That's probably the only thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing would be the brakes, but like that's meh.
If they could figure it out, change that thing, we could have won championships this year. Like, guys, come on, get it together. However, there was a lot of championship arguments this weekend as well. Obviously, Max Verstappen won the Drivers' Championship. I think this is the one championship he won, like, completely on his own merit. Because obviously his
I think he knows that as well.
his first championship was obviously tainted by the situation in Abu Dhabi, and will always be known as a tainted championship. Some people claim it is his, some people claim it is like it isn't his. So it's always going to have negativity around it.
Mm-hmm.
His second championship was tainted by the fact that Red Bull broke the cost cap, so was technically running an illegal car. So there's always going to be that negativity surrounding it, that he only won because he had an illegal car. Last year, the same kind of situation as the second one, people said they've already using the illegal car, like the cost cap and everything like that, because it's over a cross period. And he just completely dominated the entire thing and had no competition. So everyone's like, he literally had no competition, you know, of course he's going to win. No one was even near him. This year, however, Yeri started off the season with this incredible streak of like race wins and stuff like that. But then when it hit that point where he could barely keep it in the points and was still able to keep it together, keep in the points and finish, and actually fully worked for the championship. He had competition for the championship. He had people to fight against. He had battles that he could compete in. and still managed to come out and win it. I think this was probably his best championship season.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only one that's going to sit with like positivity around it. Like, I feel bad for him in that sense, because you've got 4 championship wins and only 1 is like celebrated by people. Obviously his fans will obviously continuously celebrate all of them, but
Yeah.
it must be pretty like naff that you're like, yeah, I've got all these 4 championships, and people are like, no, you've only got 3, no, you've only got 2, you've only got 1, this is your only championship that you deserve, kind of thing. Like, it must be pretty rough, especially seeing as some of them are like, yeah.
And sort of like the quote, so like I looked through like Fernando Alonso's quotes regarding his championship and whatever, and like even Fernando said like this is the most special one for him because he hasn't been driving the dominant car. He hasn't had everything go his way this year. He's actually had to work really, like, I know he's worked hard throughout his career, I will say that, but this is what Fernando Alonso said. Like, he's really had to work hard to get this championship because, you know, as much as people say, oh, Lando wasn't actually in contention for the championship. Maybe not, but he actually was in contention of, he was winning races ahead of Max Verstappen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he was closing down a points gap and everything. Like, it was literally going into the final 3 weekends, Lando Norris could still win that championship. That is in contention for the championship, whether
and even
they wanted to or not, like, it was there.
And even it made me laugh on Sky by this. Someone said this, and I was like, what? They said, oh, this is the most competitive championship for the last, like, however many years, like, even, like, 10 years. And I was like, hold on, do you forget, like, 21 happened? I was like, do you forget 21 happened? Because that went down to the last race, last round. I know you're trying to forget it happened and trying to literally forget it existed.
I mean, even Vettel and Hamilton's championship were more of a battle, I feel like, than Max's last few.
Right.
So.
I just hope that. Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, talking about Fernando Alonso, talking about Max Verstappen's championship. Celeste, did you see anything else that he said?
Who?
Fernando Alonso regarding Verstappen's championship.
I do not listen to that man.
He said, this is not a direct quote because I cannot remember the direct quote, that Max Verstappen's 4 championships are more, what's the word, deserving and like earned than Sebastian Vettel's were.
I did see that. The only reason,
because Max had more competition. Fernando, you were Sebastian's competition.
I was going to say, the only reason he's saying that is because he's still salty that he didn't win that championship twice. He lost it twice to Sebastian Vettel. That's the only reason he's saying it. He's just still salty. Which, you know, I don't mind.
I saw it and I looked at it. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was you, babe. Like, you were the competition. Like, what do you mean he had terrible competition? Like, back yourself. Like, you were the competition, babe.
You're calling yourself bad competition. You're calling Jenson Button bad competition. Really?
Yeah.
All
like,
the people with championships you're calling
I do
bad
think, you know, Sebastian Vettel had it a bit harder going up against 3 world champions compared to Max Verstappen, who was going up against Lando Norris in his first year of a championship. Charles Leclerc, who's in a constant argument with Ferrari and his teammates.
Oh my god!
Like,
honestly, you can't compare it to. I know there's a lot of similarities about both Seb and Max. You know, for championship, dominant car, being the golden Red Bull boy, basically. But you can't compare the season. I think we have so many more races now. We have such different cars, different work ways how the team do it. Sebastian had way more people fighting for the championship than he also was very dominant, and just, you can't compare the two. I feel like they both deserve their championship one way or another.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are you gonna say, Katie?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I just hope that next year from the start it's a mixed bag of who's gonna win, because I think if Red Bull weren't so dominant in the first 7 races, it could have been a very different championship.
I'm saying it now, George Russell 2025 WDC.
Should you shake our hands?
I think that's right.
It worked well last year.
Okay, what do I get if George Russell wins the championship in 2025?
I'll pay for you to get his tattoo.
Nice. Deal. I do need to send you the money for your tattoo. You just have to let me know when
That's fine, I need to book it.
I think it's it's going to be more competitive next year. I think
I really hope so.
McLaren are going to be more up there this next year, as in from the start,
Yeah.
because they're just going to be able to carry it on.
However, did you see Andrea Stella, I'm pretty sure it was, said something along the lines of they're using Orlando's data from this year to help Oscar Piastri for next year.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking there is going to be a little bit of beef if that's true next year.
I think
we're going to have a Spain 2016 situation in McLaren.
No.
I
No.
think it's going to happen, okay?
Oh.
2025. Do you know what I think we should do, right? Is we each have like a load of different like categories per se. So like WDC, WCC, like something negative that's going to happen, something positive that's going to happen. Yeah, like that kind of thing.
Right.
Each write them down, put them in an envelope, seal it, right? And then end of the season next year, we look at them. And we should also do it with Formula E because Formula E is about to start as well. Now we should probably talk about the negatives of the F1 weekend. Stroll radio communication. Lost.
He didn't have any.
Yeah, he lost
didn't
radio at the beginning
any.
of the race.
Can
What?
I say something?
Absolutely, you can.
So I saw this TikTok, and I don't know how much rage I have felt since watching this TikTok, but this lady, you know, it's so dangerous. He didn't have any radio communications. It's really dangerous. I'm like, sorry, what do you think drivers in other championships do? Like, actually, what do you think they do? Or riders in MotoGP? There's no radio communications at all. At all. They rely on the marshals, the flags. That's how it works. Or the messages that they get on their little front of their bike, like what happens in Formula One. It's not the people saying like, oh, it's dangerous. It's not dangerous. It's inconvenient for him.
Yeah,
it is.
Absolutely.
But it's not dangerous. This happens. This has happened on multiple occasions. This isn't anything new. In a lot of PEDI series, they don't have any radio communications. They only recently got radio communications in Formula 3. Like, saying it's dangerous is stupid. It's inconvenient, yes. But also, I don't think Aston Martin handled it very well because they didn't actually, like, so what happened with his pit stop is that he came in, they didn't know that he was coming in. What they need to do is then communicate with their little pit board.
Yeah.
Say, like, come in however many laps, because then you actually can communicate.
There is a way still to communicate. You don't just need the radio.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, but what if there was a red flag? Yeah, you see that around.
You'll see that, yeah.
You can see the red flag from the marshal post, the board that's flashing red, and the bit on your dashboard that also flashes red. You do not need the fourth person in your ear going, red flag, red flag. And if you rely on that person calling a red flag into your ear, then you need to probably get out of the F1 car and go to Specsavers. Like,
I would have, if I was in his position, I would have gone down the straight, slowed down, and just gone out at the top of the car and done that past the pit wall and tell them that I'm coming in on the next lap.
nice.
That's what I would have done if I was him. Pete.
Sainz pit stop going over pit entry line. See, I definitely did not witness this, so I think this is when I partially fell asleep. But I did hear that this was like very, like, I know going over the pit line is like going over the entry line is a slam dunk penalty.
No, it's not. Nope. I did a dive in the rule book, obviously, as I do. Read the whole entire rule book about pit stop, pit lane, whatever. So the pit lane entry and exit, you can cross the line. There is no official rules about it. However, on every track we go to, they have like these briefings with the drivers and that kind of thing. And for some tracks, they do make additional rules basically for that track. And in the briefing, they say, okay, listen, this pit lane entry or exit, you can't cross or you can't go back and in. And like, I don't agree with this. Like, I feel like that's stupid because the way he moved out of the pit entry, I think it was very dangerous. But rule-wise and technically, it isn't a rule, so it is fair that he didn't get a penalty. Again, I don't agree with it, but
I think the reason that was the case with this track is because obviously earlier in the weekend we heard that oh, we can't see the pit entry line.
Mhm.
Because basically there's so many other road markings. What happens on street circuits? There's so many other road markings. They couldn't see which one was the pit entry line.
Yeah.
They ended up changing it overnight, and I don't know whether they painted over something or what. I don't know. But they changed it overnight. But like even in the commentary, like Brundle said, like that's a slam dunk.
That's what I
And it was
thought.
the
Yeah.
fact there wasn't even an investigation.
Nope.
There was nothing, and it was very interesting that didn't happen.
Yeah, I feel like it should just be a rule at every track because I feel
Also,
like
it's
it's
stupid on
dangerous.
Ferrari's part.
It's also kind of cutting the track. Like he literally cut a piece of the track.
Mm.
So it's weird.
Did
But
you guys also see that people are saying Charles Leclerc's racist?
why? What's he done now?
Because on the radio
Oh.
he said, "Have you tried asking him in
You tried it in
Spanish?"
Spanish.
First of
Oh,
all,
that man
that's-
was just fed up.
Spanish is not
That's
a
not
race.
racism.
Spanish is not a race. Okay, it's not a race. That would be xenophobia, and it's also not that deep.
It really isn't.
It's
Once
just that
again,
Carlos didn't
stand-
listen.
I stand by my statement. A lot of F1 fans nowadays would not have survived F1 20, 30 years ago.
For
Would not
real.
have survived.
I don't think that they had radio communications then. Like,
Yeah. But it's like, this is the thing that like really miffs me off about this situation. Is people like, yes, but they didn't even come onto the radio and tell Carlos that he can overtake Charles or something like that. I can't remember because I was in and out of sleep the whole time watching it. But do you think that they share every single radio message?
also, the fact that
Yes,
they
they
probably
did.
talked about this pre-race.
That's why Charles got so upset, because there were things discussed before the race, and this isn't the first time that Carlos just said, well, I don't really care about what we discussed, and just does his own thing. So yeah, I get that Charles was fed up, and people also say like, oh, he was so rude to his engineer, and he was just being so not like himself. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but the Charles Leclerc you see doing media interviews and doing like the fun challenges with Ferrari, that is not all of him. Like, there's more to every single race driver you see. Every single race driver has been cursing on the radio and has their like moments where they're not feeling the happiest because they probably just lost a race or lost this or whatever. So I don't get why people are still commenting on like racing drivers cursing and being like just not a happy driver, because they do a top athlete sport. Of course, they're not always going to be happy about their performance or other people's performances. So
I actually clapped
yeah.
when I heard the radio. I was like,
I mean,
"Fucking
yeah.
king." I was like, go for it.
he spoke up, and I think he should. And I think he's done it before. It just hasn't been broadcasted yet. So that's why it's a shock to people. But
And I think, like, this has been a conversation for the last few years. I know Sebastian Vettel has mentioned it. And I think one that, like, stands quite prominent in my mind is actually from Callum a lot. So he's talking about how we've all heard Dan Ticktum on the radio, haven't we? Not the happiest bloke. Basically, you know, however many years ago, obviously there was flashback. Is that the word?
Backlash.
No.
that's back.
Basically there was backlash about Dan being angry and swearing on the radio.
Mm.
And I just remember like Callum saying, okay, what people don't realize is that if you broadcasted every single one of our radio communications, you would hear the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's something that happens when you're driving that fast and you're under that amount of pressure and adrenaline.
Mhm.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
What you don't realize is that your saint of your favorite driver will be doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And you know what they all say? You'd never put a microphone on a footballer.
Exactly.
It just happens they have microphones. And you know what? If they all stopped swearing, they were all really polite on the radio, everyone would be on Twitter like, we need to stop over PR training these drivers. Where are my entertaining
Literally.
radio messages gone? You're all little...
You can't please sports fans. You can't
You
please.
can't. They're all
Honestly.
boring. People are like, what about the children watching it? Like, 6-7-year-old Alice was not repeating the stuff they were saying on radio messages. 6-7-year-old Alice was
So-
not paying any
They
attention to what they were
literally bleep it
saying.
out on broadcast.
You would be surprised at what words 6 and 7-year-olds know already. That I
Yeah,
doubt they
honestly.
picked up from F1.
For
I was gonna
real.
say, you forget their parents are around doing things.
Oh
Mm.
yeah. 6, 7, 8-year-olds love swear words because
Yeah.
they're naughty and they can't say them, so they just say them all the time. Their
I-
favorite thing in the world is figuring out like they can
Yeah.
put their middle finger up and it's rude.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. 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 Yep.
yep, yep, yep.
I agree with that.
Yep, yep.
I just can't wait for the photos to come out of Charles and Max doing their community service together.
Charles didn't get community service.
Oh,
You're gonna piss Max off because Max have been saying that every single fucking press conference he got the chance. He was like, "Well, the rules only apply to me and not to some other drivers." I was like, "Babe, it's fine. You can say Charles' name. We all know it's about Charles."
It's because Charles pulled the whole, but English isn't my native language.
I am so sorry. I'm a very sweet boy. I would never do something like
And they
that.
were like, well, no, now we can't penalise him for saying something in his second language because how would he know? Like, don't get played by the 27-year-old.
Honestly, yeah,
fair,
that's, I don't
They
get
were
it. You
talking
should have
about
gone.
like intent, and like Max swore and then was like, "Yeah, and now what? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do about
Yeah,
it?"
he was provoking it. He really
And
was.
whereas Charles was like, "Oh no, I swear I'm gonna get community service. Oh no, my life is over."
On the radio disgrace.
You know
It's not
what?
fucking fair.
But you can't get penalised over your radio communications, and
Yeah,
that's
it's just
something
a
that they've been
press
quite
conference.
clear about.
You would if you were Max Verstappen.
For real.
I mean, he was, to be fair, but he did say a slur over the radio. which
yeah.
How dare you say a swear over the radio? Very naughty. No swearing on the radio,
was
please.
slur.
Oh, slur. Okay, no, definitely say no slurs on the radio. No slurs. Don't say slurs at all. Not just on the radio. Never say slurs. Slurs are not acceptable. I thought you
That
said
was
swear.
like you said.
I did think it was weird that you just called them swears, and I was like, okay, Naomi, trying to get hip and cool with the gang. I didn't think you said slurs. It's just the Welsh accent. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to discuss from F1 if you want to go into MotoGP.
And Connor Pinto.
No!
If I
This
had
was horrible. Bear in mind, this was actually horrible. Because I watched the session. Did anybody else watch qualifying?
I watched it, yeah.
This
I
is
did.
actually horrible. So bear in mind, I'm watching it. I'm just chilling, and they're just, they're talking about whatever they're talking about, and then we see the aftermath before we see the actual crash.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm literally sat there like, oh shit! Like that's a big
Big
crash.
one. Yeah.
Like that is a huge crash. And in ways, I know it wasn't the same, but it kind of reminded me of Mick's Jeddah crash.
Mm.
It wasn't the same, I will say that, but it reminded me of like we saw the aftermath before we actually saw anything else.
Yeah.
And to bear in mind, like there's no wheels left on this car. There's like nothing. It was like I was like, okay, what the fuck has happened here? And obviously the impact was just so huge from both sides
Yeah.
that it just kills.
It was apparently, from what I read, a 50G crash.
Yeah, it was.
Over 50 Gs. It was, and you can tell it was hard.
What was
Yeah.
And the thing
Max's
is, what-
Silverstone one?
50 something as well, I think.
Yeah, because
Maybe
they both had
more,
the
but-
parts, and they're both.
Yeah.
But like you could tell, so they did the onboard of when the crash happened, and you could see like, in my personal opinion, I know there's been conversation about this. It seemed to me that Franco would have got a concussion from this. I know there's been conversation about this, and I'm not going to put words in any team's mouths. But it seemed like that was, considering the impact and the shaking he had on his head, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And I saw, it was a Spanish interview, so I can't say what was said 100%. I saw that he said that he had a concussion and had to go straight to the hotel because he couldn't like speak to anyone, he said.
Mm-hmm.
What this got mistranslated of, oh, I had a concussion and I wasn't allowed to speak to anyone about this. Which is like, people are like, oh my god, Williams said he couldn't speak to anyone. This didn't happen. If you listen to the Williams quotes, they said, his health is the priority. And I trust James Vowles, in my personal opinion. But yeah, a fair play to Williams, man. They've had 5 big crashes in the last 3 races.
It's insane. It's wrong place, wrong time. I don't think Franco's crash was that bad. It was just a case of going over the curb and losing it. But
Yeah, that was
putting it all together, like all the Williams crashes and the damage, and obviously for a team that is so small in money budget, is just rough, man.
I just think they're just so unlucky.
Well, 'cause
Yeah.
This
they've
isn't the first time.
they've gone back to like an older version of the car now, haven't they? Because obviously they can't afford the upgrades or something like that. So I think the constant changing between the different types of cars, like it's not just like a little upgrade here and there they're having to learn to. They're having to like, it's just constantly going like this. It's probably
that's not
very
helping either.
difficult on the drivers. Especially when you've got someone like Franco, for example, who is learning all of these tracks for the first time, trying to figure out how to handle this car that he's never driven before because it's completely different to last week's car. It's probably in like a state of panic. Plus, he's now a father of 3 children, so, you know, it must be adding up.
Stop it! No, we're not getting into that. Stop it.
Oh,
honestly, don't even.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay, no. People don't look this up on internet. Don't get into this rabbit hole, please.
Out of pocket. That was brilliant.
Honestly, so out of pocket.
So
I was only like, I don't know why I was only half in that conversation, and then all I just heard of, he's now a dad to 3 children. I didn't know exactly that you're still on.
Oh god.
So MotoGP biked modern Jorge Martin. Talking of slurs.
Martin won the championship. He stood in a box for like half an hour. And
oh
then
my
got
god!
out and shot
Us two on there going, is he gonna get out the box? Is he gonna get out the box?
He won the championship fair and square. Pecco couldn't have done any more in that last race. He was winning. Jorge was P3, Mark was P2, and Aleix was P4. Basically, it was Aleix's last race in MotoGP, and he is, if you don't know,
you're retiring.
Where's he going? Why? Is he old?
Aleix. Yeah.
Oh.
You know about this.
I feel like I did know about this, but like I'm still shook.
It was Aleix's last race in MotoGP.
Oh.
How are you coping? It's basically Alex in a different font, so like surely this has got to affect you.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ. What is this?
But yeah, so he is Jorge Martin's best friend. And basically, that's why it was like, oh, he's going to win the championship. Because Aleix isn't going to overtake it. He won't do it. And, you know, I think it was Alex trying to overtake Aleix. So, like, it was like, okay, if Alex overtakes Aleix, then maybe Jorge may lose the place. But it was just, Aleix is a really good defender. So it was just never going to happen. And yeah, it was pretty good. And then testing came the next day. No, 2 days after. And we saw Mark out on the Honda for the first time, and it was wonderful. It was so great. Alex also top testing, just to
wait.
Fabio Quartararo actually did okay in testing.
He did.
2025
wait.
might not be a shambles. Woo!
You mean Mark on a Ducati?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Honda.
It's like I was thinking of something else in my
I was
brain.
like getting war flashbacks. I was like, no, not on a
But yeah,
Honda,
Mark on the
please.
Ducati, and it was beautiful in that all red.
Yeah.
Mark Marquez red is a whole other level of red.
No, don't have that,
it was
Celeste.
so-
Don't have it, Celeste. Fight back.
No. In
Reclaim the
Ducati-wise,
colour.
not Ferrari wise. But it was so red that they removed all of the red off Pecco's bike.
All I'm saying, right, is that
What's
Celeste,
Pecco?
who's your favourite rider? Pecco.
Yeah.
All I'm saying
And
is
the other Fabio. I like the other Fabio.
testing said all of our rights. Like, we are validated. P1, Alex Marquez. P2, Fabio Quartararo. P3, Pecco Bagnaia. And P4, Mark Marquez.
Let's go.
What a day to be us.
There's something after, obviously, the season finale and that lot. I saw a lot of tweets of people going, I think it's so disrespectful to Pecco Bagnaia. Like, he's just lost the championship, and you're telling me that the Grassini lot are like carrying Mark in and cheering and putting him into the garage. And I'm like, hang on. Right, let's rewind. It's quite a common thing. When we were at the GB3, GB4 weekend, and we watched them cable tie one of the drivers to the dolly and take him next door to the team. But
what happens in
the person leading this gaggle of Grassini people was a Ducati Lenovo team member.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a passage. When you go to a new team, you get dumped off.
Nick De Vries literally got strapped up in the F1 garage when Mercedes and wheeled over and dropped off.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, when it's just kind of like, I don't understand. I don't think he knew that he wasn't, and he's been quite open in the interviews, Pecco, that like he's fine with it. He's already got championships. He's fine with it. I doubt he was going to sit there and throw a paddy about the fact that they've just dropped his new teammate off into the garage.
It was probably like a good thing for him, because like you're in a bad mood now. You know, you can actually celebrate and look forward to next season. You've got your teammate now.
Exactly.
I think also like people don't realize. Like, I know, like obviously this isn't like a bad situation. If you're angry at this, you're stupid. It's true, but also the MotoGP paddock, people don't realize, is almost like 10 years behind the Formula One paddock. I know people don't realize this, but like, and I mean this in every single way possible, it's about 10 years behind. It's not bad because I love the way it is, but it's really just, that's the way it is. I can't explain it any other way than that, than going down some very strange routes. But like even, yeah, it's interesting. The last MotoGP thing I think I wanted to mention, which I think is on there, is that after testing, and you know now, we will no longer see a Repsol Honda bike. Repsol is no longer sponsoring Honda, which is huge news, by the way, because they've sponsored them since like the 90s.
Oh, damn.
And that just, I think that really shows where Honda are at. Competitive wise, and obviously I know they're without Mark, and I know Mark and say Danny Pedrosa were literally the faces of Repsol Honda, but it's huge, like it's really big news. And I forgot the other team thing is that KTM have actually gone into self-administration, so we may see them on the grid next year. We may not. I think we will. I think they'll have it all sorted. But obviously that's pretty huge, and again shows how MotoGP isn't quite on the same level as F1 yet.
Maybe if they didn't put it behind a like £100 paywall, then maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, but then Formula One's behind a paywall.
Yes, but it's not as extreme, I fear.
I don't know how I don't pay for my TNT.
Yeah, I think it's because like I wouldn't pay like for TNT because there's nothing I would watch on there except MotoGP. But MotoGP do a service where you can pay to watch all the races live on the website, and that's £100.
That is a ridiculous price.
And I'm like, that is ridiculous because like obviously TNT would be more expensive. It's like £30 a month, or something like that. Which I'm already paying for Sky Sports. I do not want to be paying out for that as well. But I also can't bring myself to spend £100 to watch MotoGP for a year. Like it feels.
It's difficult because like with TNT, at least then you get some football with it. You get Champions League and stuff like that. But
yeah, but I think it's because like I'm so used to thieving Celeste's WEC. But the WEC pricing is actually just so much better It's like €7 per race.
Yeah,
And you can
get
pay
a
it.
season
You can,
pass.
yeah, you can get a season pass, or you can just pay it by race.
Mhm.
So like 1 year Celeste, because we went to there were 7 races and we went to 4 of them. Celeste just paid individually for the other 3, I think.
Yeah, there was no
then-
point in getting a race like a season pass while visiting 50% of the actual races.
And then obviously this season paid for like a season pass, but like MotoGP doesn't have that option. So I'm like, why watch it live when I can go onto a certain website and watch it after it's been for free?
And Liberty is probably coming into MotoGP, so maybe.
Can
Who
we
knows
get?
how that's going to change?
We've got Sky Sports F1. Can't we have Sky Sports bikes? And give me bikes. That'd be great.
There's a low chance. I think there's a low chance it'll go to Sky Sports.
I think it's because obviously
Sky won't make enough money from it.
when I was growing up, I was used to just watch it on Channel 4 all the time. Was it on BBC, Channel 4, ITV, one of the 2, 3
BBC
even?
it was, I think.
BBC, yeah. So like on a Sunday, it'd just be on my little box TV in the kitchen while I was having Sunday dinner, and I'm just watching it there. Like, so when it then went behind paywall, I was like, brilliant, can't watch that. But I didn't mind paying for Sky Sports because I watch football as well as F1, and my brother also watches other sports stuff, so I didn't mind paying for Sky Sports. But like paying for 2 sports like thingies feels very excessive to me. They should come together, collaborate, and just make a package. Give me a package deal. Stop being greedy.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah, Qatar this weekend, as you're watching, Qatar is occurring. Formula 1 Academy and Formula 2 are back for their final 2 races. Championship is still to be decided. F1 is back for its final 2 seasons as well. So this week and next, you will be getting support series. So make sure you keep an eye out for the F1 Academy races. You can watch those on YouTube, as we were just talking about accessible ways to watch motorsport. F1 Academy is live streamed on YouTube for free. So if you don't have Sky Sports, you don't have F1 TV, go watch it on YouTube because it's free. Enjoy that. F2 is not, on YouTube, but watch that as well if you can. Thank you guys for watching. Just note, as you are watching this Sunday is the 1st of December, which is the beginning of Parc Fem's Christmas Advent. Yay! So keep an eye out on our website and our TikTok throughout the entirety of December for bi-daily posts. No, not that. Every other day. Every other day. If it's not on the website, it's on the TikTok. If it's not on the TikTok, it's on the website all the way up until Christmas. Keep an eye on the YouTube because we have so many Christmas videos coming out as well. And so you don't miss anything at all, make sure you head over to our Instagram. It's at @parcfem_. There'll be a bunch of Christmas Advent posts coming up on there. But also, you'll be able to keep an eye out on when all of these Christmas Advent videos and articles are being posted throughout December, because they will be advertised over there. So make sure you go follow that, follow the TikTok, also at @parcfem_. The website is parcfem.co.uk. And yeah, make sure you like, comment down below, subscribe. Naomi, what's the word for the day?
Gravity.
Gravity. You are still on the mindset of Wicked, aren't you?
No.
Oh.
Okay, maybe. But I was thinking because the crash was over 4G. I don't think it would. No, 50G. I don't know whether it's grams, but I know it's based on the center of gravity and the gravity amount that's going into all.
So, gravity. If you made it this far, comment gravity down below. Thank you guys for watching, and ciao bella.
Ciao bella.